This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and technically it's better than being stuck in this movie, Shotgun Wedding, a new action comedy from director Jason Moore. It follows Tom and Darcy, the happy couple who have gathered their friends and families to the Philippines for their wedding. Unfortunately, the two start to have cold feet about the whole thing and think about calling things off, which obviously puts a damper on the whole event. But perhaps worse is the sudden arrival of pirates, who hold the wedding guests hostage until Darcy's wealthy father pays a ransom. As the only two left untaken, it's up to the almost newlyweds to save everybody and perhaps save their marriage along the way. Being a comedy, you can probably guess how that ends. This is honestly a pretty predictable story with a plot structure that has save the cat energy all about it. Like it's A plot and B plot that do meet up but don't really cross over. Topped off by a bunch of smaller character relationships that matter even less to the main story. Interestingly though, those minor characters, who spend almost all of the film stuck as hostages, actually end up being more fun to follow than the main couple. For me, it's partially to do with the variety they offer in their smaller stories, but also the general absurdity of these hostages being a bit ignorant of the greater concerns at hand, and spending their time working through their own personal situations or attempting nonsensical means of escape and survival. It's much livelier and a bit more creative than the main storyline, which is pretty much a treading from point A to point B to point C, with dialogue from two people trying to be funny but ultimately failing, and rather highly choreographed action scenes, which can be fun but for the most part seem more like a distraction from the underwhelming character storyline of these two. The lack of strong development between any of the characters is to be expected, at least for a movie like this where roles and archetypes are the norm, which may also explain why the writing itself seems to play out similarly between scenes, as if everything were written on a scene-by-scene basis without much thought for tying it all together. In the end, it wouldn't surprise me if this movie were made more as a vehicle for everybody to try their hand at comedy, take a vacation at an island resort or something, and get paid for it the whole way through. On that note, the production of the film is also a bit in line with what you might expect from this sort of action comedy spectacle. You've got a lovely island location that's ripe with natural environments and wide open spaces that make way for large-scale effects and stunts, cinematography that captures these open areas and scenic views, editing that brings it all together, and ultimately nothing that really feels all that unique or truly necessary. This is, overall, kind of an empty comedy movie that relies more on what happens, the absurdity of the premise, and your own suspension of disbelief to let it all go on without questioning anything. That's not impossible at all, of course, and when it comes down to that, the movie is at least fun enough that you won't necessarily regret having watched it. It's more that because it doesn't bring anything new to the table, that it is also forgettable and inessential, designed more around specific moments that you might remember over others, instead of the film as a whole. Of course, those moments might be highlights to some people, but they aren't enough to make a movie with lasting impact. Then again, the filmmakers probably never cared about that in the first place, so maybe I'm just overthinking things. Again. Shotgun Wedding. Jason Moore, 2023. 2 stars. I won't recommend it, but I won't stop you from watching it yourself. Maybe it's like a background viewing kind of movie. I don't know. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Maybe if the whole movie were just the hostages, that would have been even more fun. At the very least, it wouldn't have been just a movie where two people run across an island and fight pirates along the way. And then again, that does sound like a good standalone story too. So how'd they mess all this up?